In America, we don't worship government.
And you can't keep a good man down. And you can't keep a good man down.
We worship God.
Come on, take your best shot. Pump my fist, give me what you got.
The power of this audience. I want to just begin by saying we have so much to get to in this show. There's so much we don't understand, so much we don't know right now. And we're going to try to make some sense of what seems like a crazy deja vu to certainly to me, and probably to you. If you pay attention, then you're potentially piecing together some very odd similarities between this shooter and the shooter in Butler, Pennsylvania. And I want to begin by saying there's no such thing as a conspiracy theory. There's just theories. There's just people asking questions. There are facts, and we wish to present to you as much as we know right now. And then there's speculation. And we're going to have to speculate a little bit on this program about what the hell happened as a man who, just a quick update on the news, a man named Ryan Ralph, who's a Democrat, who has Kamala Harris bumper stickers on his car and has donated to Democrats dozens of times, was within just a few hundred yards of President Trump with a rifle with a scope inside of a sniper's den when nobody knew where the hell Donald Trump was that day. His schedule was not public. It was OTR, off the record, meaning the president moves very fluidly and sort of in the cover of darkness. It would be virtually impossible to track Donald Trump's whereabouts. How the hell did the shooter know where he was? We're going to cover all that. Thankfully, Donald Trump survived. The shooter could have killed the president and was clearly wanted to kill the president, as was his stated goal in many social media posts. This guy has a very strange past, was hunted down by the authorities, thankfully, in the state of Florida, and then arrested. Now, on our show yesterday, during the breaking news, where we knew so little, we didn't know the man's name, we didn't know anything about his social media or his past, we had no idea what he looked like, who he was, where he was, what age he was. We didn't even know if he was arrested at the time when we went live yesterday. We had on a man named Erik Prince. Erik Prince is the founder, CEO of Blackwater, one of the largest protection organizations and most sophisticated protection groups in U.S. history. They're the people who effectively secured war zones when the U.S. military said it's too dangerous. They outsourced this to Erik Prince, and Erik Prince knows about dangerous men and dangerous places. On our program yesterday, Erik Prince said something that was remarkable, that was picked up very widely and was shared very widely, and led to real world action that may well be our saving grace in all of this. This may well be the reason why we will actually find some justice and learn about what happened. And it won't just be swept under the rug, as you are seeing the corporate media trying to do this morning, all across corporate media, calling it an incident instead of an assassination attempt, and saying his motivations are unclear. The guy had a Kamala Harris sticker on his car. Put it up. The guy had a Kamala Harris sticker on his car. The guy voted for Democrats. I want you to see it. Here's a guy's truck sitting in his driveway. The guy had a Joe Biden, Kamala Harris sticker on the damn car. You were seeing Time Magazine this morning. Got community noted into the Sun. But still, Time Magazine this morning saying, we don't know his political ideology. We'll never know. We may never know. You can see what they're trying to do here. There's one reason why they might not be able to pull it off, and that's because of our show yesterday. I'm not here to egregiously pat ourselves on the back, but I am here to sort of plant a flag and say how important this audience is, how much we care about you, and why we're so thankful for you. On our show yesterday, Erik Prince made this very harsh declarative statement that Ron DeSantis, Governor DeSantis, must declare this a joint operation with independent Florida state investigations and the Florida Bureau of Investigations, and must grab from the feds and rip from the feds the authority to charge, interview, observe, scan, scrape Ryan Ralph, social media, texts, signal chats, Telegram chats, whatever. His entire phone is going to be a treasure trove of who he was operating with, what he was saying to them, how he knew where President Trump was that day, what his digital ID, who was paying him if somebody was paying. The state of Florida must have access to this. This happened in the state of Florida. Thank God it didn't happen in a blue state or a state run like a decrepit state of Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania could have, with proper leadership, done the exact same thing in the Butler shooting. Of course, Pennsylvania leadership was clawing and clamoring to be vice president for Kamala Harris, so they did nothing. So they turned it over to the feds to go into scrub operation and to make sure that we know nothing. We'll never know. We'll never know. We'll cremate his body. We'll hose everything off. We'll make sure that the place is scrubbed clean, that you never find out anything about the kid, never find out anything about his background, who he was talking with. We'll even lie to Congress about it. Thankfully, Ron DeSantis heard us. This is the power of this audience. I want to just begin with a victory today as we get into the dark story and strange actions of Ryan Ralph. Here is Eric Prince calling for Ron DeSantis to assert state control over this investigation and rend back the information and power from the feds. This is called the 10th Amendment in action. Go. Can you please, since we know that the governor follows our accounts quite closely, can you please give a message to Governor DeSantis from your security expertise and perspective on this?
Governor DeSantis, love what you've done with the state of Florida. Now is the time to prove the Florida Bureau of Investigation's merit in cracking this crime and not brushing it under the rug like happened in Pennsylvania.
Yes, I believe that if at the very least, what this would provide is transparency that then all of us could agree on the terms. Because what we saw in Butler was Thomas Crooks, the FBI contacting Gab, saying that we have the account of Thomas Crooks. He's a far left winger who supports Joe Biden. You can see that through his posting. And the owner of Gab coming out and saying, here are all of his posts. This guy is a left wing Joe Biden supporter. The next day, the FBI comes in and testifies that he's actually a right winger. And I don't know if that the intention, obviously the intention there is to confuse or to cross the wires. But guess which narrative the corporate press run with?
Of course. Exactly. So again, the state government has a huge role in this, in preventing assassination and murder in their state. Clearly, the federal government cannot be trusted here. Sadly,
yes.
It's a time for Governor DeSantis to flex up and to see that this is done properly.
Well, we want to thank you for watching yesterday. We want to thank you for being part of this audience because we have had a real world effect on this investigation. Ron DeSantis, yesterday, after we went live and after that post went thermonuclear viral, I don't know, it got millions of views on our social media, and it was picked up by hundreds of news outlets. Ron DeSantis, through that pressure, put out this post last night. The state of Florida will be conducting its own investigation regarding the assassination attempt of Donald Trump at Trump International Golf Club. People deserve the truth. You see that? You see that? You see what we did together? People deserve the truth about the would-be assassin and how he was able to get within 500 yards as president and current GOP nominee. Attorney General Ashley Moody still silent on this, so we look forward to that, and we are going to be muscularly driving for the Attorney General of the state to launch her own and open her own investigations. Let me layer on top of this something I believe is incredibly important. Ron DeSantis has an opportunity to become a living legend in this moment. Ron DeSantis needs to assert full control since this happened inside of the Florida jurisdiction. And my team is telling me to state this correctly. There is no Florida Bureau of Investigations. My apologies. Florida Department of Law Enforcement, FDLE. So this would be who would be investigating. I want to make this very clear. Okay. All right. Got it. and we want to encourage correctly the purpose of our calls here is actually something that everyone should celebrate, which is an independent investigation that confirms what the feds are going to tell us. Why wouldn't that be? Why wouldn't that be something that we all want here? I'm sorry, but feds have lost all credibility. We've seen what you've done with Hunter Biden's laptop, with Russiagate. We've seen what you've done in Butler. We know nothing. We have nothing. In Butler, the FBI has effectively handed an empty bag to congressional investigators, and we're going to have one of them on the program here in just a second. They've done nothing. They said his phone's encrypted, and so we can't. His phone, we can't get into it. We can't ever figure. We'll never know. We'll never know. Sweep it under the rug. Doesn't fit the narrative. Not here. They're going to try and do that. They're going to try and eliminate this from the public side, and we're not going to let it go. We're not going to let it go. We did everything in our power to ensure that everybody. We went to Butler, Pennsylvania. We covered the assassination. We did nonstop. We did everything to ensure that this wasn't something that could leave the American conscience, because left-wing violence is the only true violence that is happening with regularity on a political landscape here in the country, and we need to really have a hard take on this. In the program, we're going to show you exactly what the unhinged radicalism of the left, and how, quite frankly, what they state is this: if you disagree with them politically, you're not human. If you disagree with them politically, you're not deserving of life. This is the ideology of the left, and we wish to expose that. Many members on the left are celebrating the fact that there was another assassination attempt on Donald Trump, just like they did the first time. The only way to actually make this stick is to have a real investigation of this real Kamala Harris and Joe Biden voter and donor who tried to kill Trump yesterday, and to start saying it and putting it in those terms. And the only way we're going to be able to put it in those terms is if Ron DeSantis has the balls to step out there on a daily basis and give press conferences. This is what we need. We need a daily press conference basis. I have a tweet on this. Put it up. I said, great job, Governor. Here's what you do next. Full state authority. This crime happened in your state. You have full rights legally to not only participate in this investigation, but to learn everything along with federal authorities. This is a 10th Amendment situation. The state of Florida must muscularly assert its right to learn everything the feds know and to be present during interrogations, assessment of electronics, gathering of evidence. 2, hold a daily press conference. Do not let this slip from the psyche of American people. Release information. We've heard nothing but lies from the Secret Service. We've heard nothing but lies from the feds on the Butler assassination. Nothing. Lies, verifiable lies, demonstrable lies. Josh Hawley just released a whistleblower report this morning. Devastating. And then, when we find out who was working with him, the would-be assassin, when we find out who was giving him information, we go after all of them. We expose the network of people who wish to kill President Trump from the inside, from the outside. Not sure. Was it somebody at his club? Was it as simple as that? Or was it much, much darker? As we get into this guy's past, nothing makes sense. What's going on here? Is this MK Ultra gone wrong? What's happening with this guy? There is no logic to this man's life. We're going to give you all the evidence that we know right now, but the only way for us to understand what truly happened here, and a reminder that the Secret Service had to open fire. There are many reports that this guy did, in fact, fire shots. Well, I guess we're going to have to look. But I say this, and I hate that I have to say it. I hate it. This will be the thing I dislike saying the very most in this program, because there should be things that connect us actually as human beings and Americans together. But sadly, those threads are so bare right now. I'm glad this happened in a red state. I'm glad it happened in a red state. I'm sure you are too. It's happened in a red state with a strong governor and a governor who is good at prosecuting crime, very good, and getting to the bottom of these things, and good at asserting his rights as a governor through power, through the power of his office, asserting his rights as a governor against the feds and against the federal government. And so I'm happy it happened in this red state. If this happened in a blue state, if this happened in Connecticut, it'd be the same. It'd be the same thing all over again. Just turn it over to the black box of federal investigations, and we'll learn something. Maybe 2026 we'll learn something. They'll release a report when nobody cares. No, now is the time. Now is the time to muscularly approach this. And I'm so thankful for this audience. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. You will not find a creator in the space that is more appreciative, because this is what we wish to do. We wish to effect proper change. This is actual change. We were able to do it together. We were the first ones out of the gate. And so, ladies and gentlemen, my appreciation to you. President Trump up with a 0-2 post. Actually, sadly, this is a Photoshop. It's a Photoshop, but an epic one. I hope that Trump sees this, and I hope that he actually does post this. There are so many strange similarities between these two governments. Let me go through them off the top of my head, and then we will be having a member of the Assassination Task Force joining us momentarily. But I want this to be driven home. Both assassins are in videos for promotional events for BlackRock. That doesn't make any sense. We can show you the videos. We got them. Thomas Crooks and Ryan Ralph. Are there actually that many coincidences in life? Both assassins, here, you pop it up. Both assassins have very strange and very murky ties to overseas interest groups, let's just call them, for lack of being able to really properly pin this down. This man, here's Ryan Ralph here, appeared in an Azov battalion propaganda video in May 2022. That's strange. How is it? Why is this American citizen appearing in Azov battalion propaganda? This man was completely and totally radicalized by the Ukraine war. He spent what seems to be the last bits of his free life, because I don't believe this man will ever see the light of day again, not in the state, not being prosecuted in a state like Florida. He will die in prison. And he's sick. He's 58 already. You can see here Thomas Crooks in a BlackRock ad. What the hell is this? What the hell's going on here? Are there really that many coincidences? According to the feds, because we have to just depend on them because they're the ones who have all of Thomas Crooks's devices. Thomas Crooks completely disappeared off the map. Nobody's interviewed his parents. Nobody asked his parents about this. His parents are still like wandering around the town. Nobody's like sat them down for an interview. Nobody's asked anyone like, what the hell's wrong? How'd your kid try and kill Trump? How does he have bombs on him? Where do you get the money to do this? And I asked the same question on Ryan Ralph. Well, it defies any moderate level of common sense that some zit-faced jackass kid who's 20 years old would have the capacity to build sophisticated canister bombs and then run an op where, with no military training, he gets within 100 yards of the president and gets a scope shot on Trump. In a BlackRock ad. The feds tell us that after reviewing all of his electronics, that he had all Signal accounts and accounts set up overseas. What's that about? Who has an account set up overseas? ALX. I'm going to call for that. I'm going to call for that Iranian video that shows Trump golfing and shows a target on his back. This is very, very strange. I don't think it's in the production, but we got to show this. Do we have it? Oh, great. Okay, let's show that. Here's a video from Iran showing Donald Trump golfing. This was posted by the Ayatollah Khamenei, demanding that Trump be shot and killed on the golf course. In a self-published book, Ryan Ralph begs Iran to kill Trump. And here's Iran's video. Both these guys have very murky, very strange ties to international military operations and or dark web operations. Are you starting to see a pattern here? Ryan Routh has been captured alive, so maybe somebody could ask him in an interrogation, hey, you're pretty much a penniless, unemployed, part-time roofer from Hawaii. So then can you explain to me how you voted in the Democrat primaries in North Carolina? How'd you do that? You got that? Okay. How'd you do that? Exactly. Here's what Iran released. Look at this. Oh, good. A guy shooting from the bushes. Interesting. Oh, got it. It's a little drone. Okay. A couple questions just off the top of the head here for the would-be assassin of President Trump. How did you get to the place where you could be within a couple hundred yards of Donald Trump? Who told you where Trump was going to be? His trip was off the record yesterday. Nobody knew where Trump was. How'd this guy know what Trump was? We didn't know where Trump was. We do this professionally for a living. We know everything. We're on the advance and everything. We get special emails from the Trump team, like telling us where Trump's going to be months from now, if they have stuff booked, inviting us to go. We get the most sophisticated external internals that we possibly can, what Trump's doing and where he is. We're also extremely online, which means that when Donald Trump makes movements and they're public, you tend to know because there's typically going to be somebody tweeting it. How'd this guy know what hole Trump was going to be on his golf course? This man has a arrest record. Here it is. You can find this. You can find the same as me. Go ahead, check out his arrest record. He has 100 different criminal offenses, including one for, and I kid you not, possession of a weapon of mass destruction. Possession of a weapon of mass. What weapon of mass destruction did he possess? How was he able to purchase a firearm? Who paid for that firearm? This guy lives in Hawaii. How was he able to fund travel from Hawaii to Florida to DC to Ukraine? You can see him all over the place. Here's a photo of him in Ukraine. Here's a photo of him in DC. He's dressed pretty nicely. He's going to meetings. These are expensive trips. We as a company have to think through how we utilize our resources to get our teams to these places when we want to do documentaries and things. Yet this guy, this unemployed man with no money, you know he's unemployed because we can see it on his donations page. Can we pull that up, boys? The Act Blue donations page for this guy. He says unemployed. So who's paying for these trips? Who's paying for the weapons? Who's paying for the ceramic tiles? Who bought the gun? How'd you buy a gun when you have 100 criminal charges? You're a felon. How are you voting? How are you voting in a state you don't live in? Go. Would you look at this? Dozens of donations to Democrats. They're going to try and tell you this guy's a Republican. Oh, he's a Trump supporter. No, he's not. There's no proof that he ever voted for Trump. The guy has a vicious screed online. We have all of his tweets and many of his Facebook posts before they deep sixed his accounts. This guy hated Donald Trump. This guy was regularly calling for the Iranians to kill Trump. This guy wanted to fight and die for Ukraine. And he donated exclusively to Democrats as of late. So don't let them lie to you. This is the information. And now, if you're starting to sit back and wonder and think, wait a second, this seems really, really strange. All of this information. I mean, it gets even worse. Apparently, according to the people who arrested the guy, he was just behaving. He was behaving in such a strange manner. So totally paradoxical to the moment. Like as though this was part of a greater plan. This is according to the sheriff. According to the FBI, and a former FBI agent, nobody knew where Donald Trump was that day. How did this guy know where Donald Trump was that day? Also, more importantly, you remember this message from the Secret Service? A Secret Service whistleblower saying there's gonna be more attempts on Trump's life? This was after the Butler event. How did he know? This is true. This guy was right. We covered this at great detail. This guy was right. He said they will try to shoot Trump again. How'd he know? I'm not saying this guy's in the wrong. This was a whistleblower sent to the Secret Service demanding that the top levels of the Secret Service get axed because they're the real problems here. And he says what's going to happen next is they're going to try again. And sure enough, he was right.